Welcome to all the participants in the virtual CPE meeting on strategies for growth of startups. We have with us today's speaker, CA Manish Balani, who is right now is involved in the startups for the years, and he has been experienced person in the startup ecosystem. He's a well influential person in the marketing and social media of the startup, and he is a regular is involved in the startup growth of the startups in the years. With this, we welcome to CA Manish Balani in this session. We welcome to our Vice Chairman, Committee on MSME and Startup, CA Dr. Raj Chawla, who is our dynamic, vibrant and committed Vice Chairman of the committee. And he was earlier worked as earlier being there as a chairman of the Northern Indian Regional Council, and he is the active in throughout the years in the ICA ecosystem as a leader, and as a committed towards upliftment of the profession and the growth and enhancement of the profession. In the years, he has been involved in knowledge enhancement sessions in the years for the members of ICA, and he is a well influential person in the various arena of the profession as well as the various arena of the government ecosystem. With this, I request to the CA Dr. Raj Chawla, Vice Chairman, Committee on MSME and Startup, for his address.
Thank you, Sambiji. Good morning to all dear professional colleagues. At the outset, I am happy to be part of this VCM on strategies for the growth of startup, organized by the Committee on MSME and Startup of ICI. We are thankful to all the participants and our resource person, CA Manish Balani ji from Jaipur, for joining in this virtual CPE meeting. India is the fast becoming a leading ground for innovation. India is shifting to a knowledge-based economy growth model and commit to revent its advantage as labor-intensive, capital-intensive and manufacturing nation. Future tends slow opportunity for startups to disrupt and innovation with technology like blockchain, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, etc. With the kind of policy reforms that India is headed towards, startup can play a big role. It is clear of late that India's startup ecosystem is vibrant and mainstream. It creates jobs, solves consumer problems, and creates products for the world. India seems to be more appealing as a startup nation because of the cost benefit, its size of the market in India, and skilled human capital. Today, India has more startups and entrepreneurship than it ever had, making it obvious that revolution has already been set aside. The startup companies are beginning to spread the benefit deeply into regional economies and are also creating new market and business models. These young companies have threatened to disrupt the already recognized business. This seems to be a path-breaking catalyst, its innovation and collaboration in the Indian market. The country has been declaring its third top country boosting unicorn companies for the year 2021. With 33 Indian startups joining the unicorn club, it has displaced the UK and third position, which managed to witness only 50 unicorns in the same year. The leading countries, the US headed 254 unicorns, whereas China saw 74 unicorns in 2021, taking their tally to 487 and 301 startups that achieved over 1 billion valuation. I am happy to inform you that the today's session will highlight the growth strategies for startup. We hope that your enhancement of the knowledge in the startup help you in the future endeavor. Thanks and best of luck for your future professional and personal endeavors. Thank you, Sambiji.
We invite to our resource person, CA Manish Balani, for his further proceedings in this session.
Thank you, Dr. Sambit Mishra, and thank you, C. Raj Chawla ji, and thank you, the MSME and Startup Committee of ICI for giving me this opportunity. So I'll just share my screen. Just let me know if you're able to see my slides. Is it visible?
Yes, visible, visible.
Okay, we'll start. So today we are here to discuss about strategies for growth of startups and MSMEs, right? It's a virtual CPE meeting, and I'll be basically taking 1.5 hours of yours to help you understand what is a startup, what can be the growth strategies for different startups and MSMEs, and how even a chartered accountant can become a partner in the growth of these startups and MSMEs. So this is what we are here today for. We are basically here to learn about startups and MSMEs, as I said. I'll also share my insights on strategies for growth, how to scale your business, and how chartered accountants can become startup mentors or become a partner in. So a quick introduction about myself. So I'm C. Manish Balani. I'm into product and sales strategy. I've worked with multiple brands like Intuit, KDK, Cardeco, and KPMG. As of now, I'm the Senior VP of Supply Chain Services Business of Viner Network. Viner Network is a supply chain financing business, as well as we are a GST Suvidha provider. As of now, we are selling, we are basically providing GST, e-waybill, and e-invoice technology. We also provide APIs for these compliances, and we also have a neobank with the name of Hilobase, which basically helps MSMEs and very small companies to automate their accounts receivable and accounts payable. I'm holding important positions as of now voluntarily. I'm the mentor of change by the Niti Aayog. I'm also the special invitee member of ICI's MSME and Startup Committee. I'm working in the fields of multiple fields ranging from business strategy, sales strategy, product strategy, and digital marketing strategy. So this is a brief introduction about myself. Now let's. Apart from this, I think my story was also covered by various platforms like CA Club India, Finance Story. I recently gave a Josh talk around 2 months back.
Sorry, I don't know that.
My story was also featured by LinkedIn, and LinkedIn I was given an opportunity to kind of feature in their In It Together campaign. It was a huge campaign which started in the IPL 2019. So I was featured by LinkedIn as well. So these are the various platforms wherein my story has been featured. So now, after my introduction, I think let's start understanding what is a startup, right? So if I go with the bookish definition of startup, right? A startup is a small company which is basically disrupting the traditional industry. That's the bookish definition of startup. But when we say the word startup, there are a few things that should come to our mind, ranging from whether the company or the startup that we're talking about, is it innovative? Is it solving a very burning problem? Is it fast growing? Can the business model be scalable? Is it flexible in terms of their strategies, in terms of their product, in terms of their people, right? It obviously, a startup is always on a higher risk because as we say, more the risk, more is the gain that we get. So it is always a higher risk when we go for a startup. Startup also has people which are very young in age, very small teams, lean teams, very fast growing environment, right? And the final thing is it should be tech oriented. And if it is tech oriented, definitely it would be also funded by venture capitalists, angel investors, and all those people. So this is what a startup means, right? When we talk about innovative, so let's talk about what kind of innovation a startup does. It could be if you talk about e-commerce, right, it has bring in some kind of an innovation so that whatever was being done earlier, now it is being done in a better fashion, right? Now you have an app, you can book an Ola, Uber, go to Flipkart, Amazon, and order something, right? And it gets delivered at your home. So this is what innovation means, right? And every startup has to be very, very innovative. Only then I think it should be qualified to be called as a startup. If I am running a business which is not innovative, then it is not a startup. Second is it should be solving a problem. Now, there should be a very burning problem which they should be solving. If they're not solving a very burning problem, then I don't think so. It should be qualified as a startup, right? So if you talk about e-commerce, right, there was a burning problem that people had to go to shops, haggle with the people, ask for discounts. The quality was not monitored, and all those things, right? Now, e-commerce has actually solved a problem, solved a very big burning problem. So if you are able to solve a very big burning problem, only then you can be called as a startup. Third is fast growing. So I think since most of us are chartered accountants, we understand there is something called J curve. If there is a J curve in the growth of a company, then it qualifies to be a startup. If it is very lean, very 10 to 15% kind of a growth, then it is not a startup. It has to be 100%, 200% kind of a growth that comes in month on month, quarter on quarter. In fact, week on week now. Now it has been a norm that week on week they're growing 10%, 20%. So that's the norm that has become nowadays, right? So, and unless it is a fast growing company, it cannot be called as a startup. Fourth thing is it should be scalable, right? You should start with a small minimum viable product, but then it should be scalable very fast. It should be scalable to a very large extent, right? Probably Ola might have started just in Bangalore, but then since the model was scalable, it has now spread across 100, 150 plus cities, right? So this is how a startup has to be. It should be having a very minimum viable product. Then the unit economics should be good, and then it should be scalable. The business model should be scalable so that it can be replicated at a very fast pace. Fifth point is flexible. They should be flexible. When I say flexible, they should be flexible in terms of their strategy, in terms of their thoughts, in terms of their processes. It should not be a rigid organization. People tend to become rigid, or the companies tend to become rigid only when they become very large. But a startup has this advantage that they are flexible. They can change their strategies every week, every 15 days, every 30 days, right? They have to just test the waters, understand the market, and then flexibly change the strategy if they are going wrong somewhere. Sixth point is higher risk. Obviously, when you are doing a startup or in a startup ecosystem, the risk is very, very high. So if a company does not operates in a segment wherein the risk is very high, then it cannot be called as a startup. Only a higher risk company can give you a higher return. That's why VCs and angel investors only invest in these companies, because there is higher risk. They understand that out of 10, 9 companies would definitely fail. Only one company would give them the desired return, right? So that is why they invest in these higher risk, and they expect higher returns as well. The last point is they should be smaller teams, young in age, right? Startup means you are just starting up. Should be having very small teams, lean teams, and the age of the founders. Obviously, it doesn't matter, but then the company at heart should be very young. It should not be. I'm not talking about people here. People could be old, or people could be 50 plus, 40 plus. That's not the criteria. But the people who are working in a startup, the people, the founders, the co-founders, they should be young in terms of their thought process. So this is how we can define a startup, right? Moving on to the next slide. So we understood what a startup is, right? But now how to start a startup, that is also very, very important. If you don't understand how to start a startup, then I don't think so we'll be able to do justice to what our ambitions are. So let's understand how to start a startup or even a small company, MSME. So startup actually is not just an idea. It's also about the execution. People only talk about ideas, $1 million ideas, $1 billion ideas, but then startup is not just an idea. It is also about execution of that idea. So as they say, strategy is fine, but the execution of strategy is the best strategy, right? So it's not just about the idea. You have to execute the idea so that you can make a small startup into a large company, and from a large company to a listed company. So this is how the process goes. This process is basically inspired by an essay by Paul Graham. So it's a small image that we have created for understanding how a startup is done, right? So let's take the first step, right? So the startup, if I want to do a startup, I want to become a founder of a startup, I should be living in the future. I should be living ahead of the time, right? If we talk about Shadi.com, when this guy Anupam Mittal started Shadi.com 20 years back, there was very less internet. People were not even thinking of buying something on internet. But now this guy was thinking about people would get matched and agree for an arrangement marriage on the internet, right? So he was living ahead of the future. Today it's a $700 million company, right? So if you are living in the future, if you are living ahead of your time, only then you can do a startup. So the first step for doing a startup is to live in the future, live ahead of your time. Second is to identify what is missing in the world, right? You're living in future, but then you have to identify today what is missing, tomorrow what would be missing, and day after tomorrow how you can solve it. So what is missing is very important. You have to understand, you have to identify. A startup idea can come at any point of time. You can you're going you're going from your car from one place to another, and you realize that why should I buy a car? Why should I be owning a car? It cost me around 10-12 lakhs. Why should I be owning a top car? The petrol cost, the depreciation, etc. There are multiple costs involved. So then the idea came in, right? The taxis normally are not available, right? So why shouldn't there be an app so that a taxi can come to my home and pick me up and drop me to my location? So this is what you have to identify. What is missing today in the world? After doing that, I think it is important to write it down, right? You can write at least 10 to 12 ideas. You can bounce those ideas around, and out of those 10 to 12 ideas, then you can finally zero it down to one particular idea on which you would be wanting to do a startup, right? Then the next step is to make a prototype. Prototype means a minimum viable product, right? It is not important that you invest in tons of money in the initial stage itself. No, you have to first make a minimum viable product, test that minimum viable product, show it to around 100 people. Once that minimum viable product is made, you understand the unit economics of creating that minimum viable product, what kind of revenues can come in, and whether the market is actually willing to have this kind of product or not. So show it to 100 people. Then based on the feedback from those people, based on that, you kind of iterate on the prototype as well as on the business model. So this iteration is very, very important. Unless you create a prototype, show it to people, get their feedback and iterate. I think most of the people start by founding, creating a company. That's probably the 6th or 7th step. The first few steps is to first create a prototype, show it to people, iterate on the prototype, iterate on the business model, and then you can basically go for the next step. And the next step is to find a co-founder. So वो हिंदी में कहावत है ना, क्या चना भार नहीं तोड़ सकता. So it is important that you have a team, you have a co-founder, a team and a co-founder who actually understand your vision. So आपने तो एक vision बना लिया, but then is that vision actually understandable to people, understandable to other people as well, right? So you have to create that vision and make your vision understand to other people, and that's how you find a co-founder. Find a small team, find your initial team. Then obviously register your company, split the equity between founders, ESOPs, small teams, and all those things would happen. Then look for funding, obviously. And when I say funding, don't always look for external funding. If your company is able to self-sustain, you are able to sell products, and it is able to fund itself, that is the best funding possible. So bootstrapping, I think, is the best thing that you can do. But then, if you want external funds, there are, today, since Raj sir also talked about, we are having 40 plus unicorns that were created in between 2021 to 22. Today, we have more than 105 unicorns that are there in India, and we have around the 3rd largest unicorn protecting countries in the world. So funding is definitely available these days. It's not at all a problem. people like Tiger Global and SoftBank, these people are willing to fund your ideas, fund your companies, fund your startups if you have a very good idea and if you understand execution. So they just don't, they obviously idea is good, but then if you don't understand how to execute it, that is again a problem. So you can look for funding and a build version one at the same time, right? While you're doing you're getting your funding, build a kind of a version which you can take out to the market, launch it, and you after launching, obviously keep on seeking feedback, right? Keep on checking it. The best strategy is one which keeps on evolving, right? You cannot be stuck on one particular way of thinking, one particular strategy. You have to launch and let everyone know that you've made something. Do as much marketing you can do, right? And follow up with the users. Your initial users will give you the best feedback, and also see whether they are coming back or not, right? Repeat customers is very important. It's not just having 1 lakh customers at a time. It is also important that at least 95 to 96% are sticking around, coming back, because the best money rotation engine is when customers are coming back. It is not just that you initiate a business, get some few customers, but then if they are not coming back, then that's not a good business to have to be in, right? Then based on the feedback, right, you can launch it again. You can do iteration. If you take this example, Airbnb was launched 3 times. It is not an Airbnb today. We all know where it is. So it is not that you once you launch, everybody would be hunky dory. Everything would be hunky dory, and everything would be going absolutely fine. That's not how it goes in the real world. You can launch again. People like Airbnb have launched multiple times. You can also launch multiple times. Get to 1,000 or 1 lakh or 10 lakh, depending upon what kind of ticket size you have. Get to those users, right? Grow on a week basis. It could be 5%, 10%, depending upon the expectation of yourself, as well as the expectation of your what do you call it as the investors, right? So you have to grow based on the expectation. You have to probably do multiple iterations in your strategy, and then finally, once you have done that, right, that's your success, right? Once you have started getting that J curve, right? Once you've started getting that kind of a growth, which is obviously hard, but it is proven that it is possible. Getting 5%, 10%, 15%, in fact, 100% week on week growth is also possible. There are multiple startups that are doing that. You can also do that, but it is important that we follow this structure. And this is what the structure has to be followed, right? It has to you have to live in the future. You have to understand what is missing. Write it down, make a prototype, show it to people, iterate, find a co-founder and team, register your company, split the equities, look for funding, build the version at a time, launch it, relaunch it, get to 1 lakh, 1,000 customers, growth, see the growth on a week-to-week basis, and then keep on growing. And then finally, obviously, once you are a large company, IPO is the final outcome. And even after IPO, I mean, IPO is the final destination for a investor, but then for a company, it goes on and on, right? It has to innovate from time to time. Even larger companies have to innovate time to time, because the times are changing, people are changing, the thoughts are changing. It is important that we keep on growing and keep on iterating on our thought process. So this is how you start a startup. And as I said, idea is nothing. It is all about execution. Now, we talked about funding, right? Now, this is one video that I would want to play because I find it the best pitch possible by a founder to their investor, and how to, you basically learn multiple things, right? How to pitch for a startup funding. So let me start this video.
Our business model is that we give 80% of the revenue back to the user and we take a 20% cut. Then I assume they're valued at about $135 million. They have about 6 million users. So there's a hell of an opportunity. There will be $1 billion business within this space. And it may be that the first one who gets there.
And I actually think that Generate could be a movement, so much so that I'm going to offer you all of the money, all £60,000, for exactly what you've asked for 10% of the business.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Look, I think what you've created is truly the one solution for the issue that we have. So I'm going to make it the same offer, all of the money for 10%.
Wow, thank you very much.
I think your timing's absolutely bang on in terms of plugging into that concern that's beginning to register in the back of people's minds. And I'm going to offer you all of the money, the 10% of the business.
Thank you very much.
I don't sit in this chair and pretend to be the techie expert, and I'm sure I am not the best dragon to partner with you on this venture. And it is only for that reason that I'm not going to make you an offer, and I'm out.
Sam, I've been in the den for 6 years. This is one of the best pitches that I've ever heard. Have you got offices?
Rental offices.
How about 3 offices for you for a year? My office. I'm going to give you all of the money, 60,000 for 10%, and offer you free accommodation up to 6-8 people for a year.
Okay. Thank you very much. Suka, I love the enthusiasm and the energy included.
Oh, I would, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a deal. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, well done.
So I think you've understood, right, how to do a pitch, right? This was the best pitch that I have found on the internet. If we talk about this particular pitch, right, how did this guy started, right? He started with showing an enthusiasm about the problem, right? He showed an enthusiasm. Yes, there is a problem which exists, and he was very enthusiastic about it. Second, he told how this current problem can be solved, right? Then third, he talked about his product, how it can be used for solving the problem. Then he was very good in answering questions with his answers. And the last point that I think was the best thing in the speech was he was crystal clear about the market opportunity, crystal clear about his product, crystal clear about his problem that the people are facing, and crystal clear about his approach, right? And also the business model, the kind of revenue generation that he would be doing. So if you are doing all these things, I think that's how you basically do a pitch for startup fund. Obviously, this was a TV show. This is not how the real world works. But then if you are able to learn the problems that people face and also understand how the pitching is done, right? It could be through emails and everything, right? A pitch deck can be sent to the investors. But then this is how actually you have to create your pitch decks, and this is how you have to do pitch as well on these startups. Sorry. So this is how startup funding is done, right? Let's move to the next slide. Now, what are the ways for small businesses to become big, right? The first point is obviously every startup or every small company today wants to become big, but then there is a particular process to become big. It is not haywire. It is not something that that could be done without doing a kind of having some kind of a thought process behind, right? So there is a process in doing all this. If we talk about this process, there are 6 different ways of a small company or a startup to become big. The first step would be license in, license out. So what I mean by license in, license out, so you've heard about Microsoft, you've heard about Dropbox, you've heard about multiple companies who actually provides license, right? So for them, it is license out. For another organization which is taking those licenses, it is called license in, right? So large companies do license out, small companies do license in, and based on that license, these small companies can actually grow very fast. If I give you an example, there was one particular company who became very big in India just by doing a license in of Microsoft. They were just the vendors of licenses of Microsoft, right? And today they've become very big. So this is the first way wherein a small company can become a big company. If they don't have any kind of a technology with them, if they don't have any kind of a licenses with them, any kind of a moat that they have, they don't have, right? They can do this license in, license out strategy. And based on this, they can become very big as well. Second is shop in, shop out. So shop in, shop out is very similar, right? It could just like license in, license out. A license is being procured and license is being sold. Similarly, a large shop or a large company can procure small products and then sell it as a white label or a co-branded product, right? Today, multiple fintechs are kind of doing co-branded credit cards and multiple cards that you've heard, right? Slice card and One Money. All these cards are basically shop in, shop out strategy. So this is also one method wherein you can a small company can become big using the shop in, shop out strategy. Then there has to be a collaborative shop. What I mean by collaborative shop, if you've traveled between Jaipur to Delhi, you might have found this very big restaurant called Highway King, right? What Highway King does is it provides food at a place, right? But then it has also done collaboration with multiple shops so that they can basically put their products on that particular restaurant, and then it's a collaborative environment that has been created, right? You enter that restaurant, you find out somebody's selling candy, somebody's kind of selling clothes. So one large shop collaborating with multiple shops, that is called collaborative shop, which a small company can do to become big. Then the fourth point could be in-shop demonstration. What I mean by in-shop demonstration is, so when we go to a dentist, right, we find an in-shop demonstration of Colgate, right? There are small packets that are there, or any toothpaste company, right? So wherever your buyers are, you can have a demonstration there, right? So if the buyer of a Colgate is actually visiting the dentist every now and then, so where they should be demonstrating, it should be demonstrating on the shop or on the clinic of that particular dentist. So in-shop demonstration is also a very powerful strategy which can be used by a small company to become big. Fifth point is hub and spoke model, right? You can create a hub, and then those spokes can be in different parts of the country, right? So mostly the tire manufacturing companies, there are different manufacturing companies that create a hub at a central part of the country, and then they basically provide those different branches that they have in the different parts of the country. They provide parts, they provide all the raw materials, even finished products through this hub and spoke model. So if you create a hub and spoke model, even a small company can become big, right? So these are the few ways you can use. So that these are very special strategies that I've learned in my career, which can be used for making a small company become a very large company. The last point is ecosystem. Let me move to the next slide to help you understand what is the last point. So I believe this is the most important strategy to create an ecosystem. So what I mean by creating an ecosystem, right? So if you see this, there's a grasshopper, there's a grass, then grasshopper eats it. The grasshopper is being eaten by a mouse is being eaten by a snake is being eaten by an eagle, right? So this is how this ecosystem is created. This thing is called जीव जीवस्य जीवनम. हर जीव दूसरे जीव पर अपने जीवन के लिए निर्भर है. So you see that in the same manner, a company or a startup or any large organization can create this ecosystem so that everybody is actually collaborating with each other, and everybody is actually dependent financially or strategically on each other, right? A retailer is actually dependent on the wholesaler. The wholesaler is dependent on the stock is dependent on the company. So this is how an ecosystem can be created. This is just one example that I've given, but then there could be multiple ways you can collaborate with different companies, different partners, make different partners, and then create an ecosystem so that everybody is financially and strategically dependent on each other. This way, there is no competition and only collaboration. With collaboration, definitely a small company can become a large company. Now, talking about the strategies for growth, right? So we are here to understand the strategies for growth for startups. So what do we mean by growth strategies for startups? Startups we have understood. Growth, what we mean by growth, that we have understood. But then what are the strategies, what are the processes that these startups should have in their DNA so that they can become large companies? So the first growth strategy is PPT for repeatable business. So not this PPT that I'm telling you. The PPT is different here. P stands for people. The second P stands for process, and third T stands for technology. So people should be process oriented and technology oriented. Process should be accurate, consistent, and efficient. And technology should be such that there is speed into your business and there's scale into business. So if you're able to get those kind of people which are process oriented, or even make those people which are already there with you very process oriented and technology oriented, that is something that would make your startup become very big. So people which are process oriented and technology oriented, processes which should be accurate, यानी कि पहली बार में ठीक होना चाहिए काम, consistent which means हर बार एक जैसा काम होना चाहिए, and efficient which means तेजी से काम होना चाहिए. So processes is very important. Unless a company or a startup has a process involved which is accurate, consistent, and efficient, they cannot become a large company. So to become a large company, process is very important. And third is technology. As I said, if you're not a tech-oriented company, you're not a startup, right? And technology should be such that it helps you in speed, it helps you in scale. आपका speed बढ़ाना चाहिए technology को, आपका scale में help करना चाहिए technology को. So this is what I call as PPT for repeatable business. Second strategy that we can go for, that a startup can go for, is RGB dashboard. So today, what I call people, I normally call founders as chief follow-up officers. They are always following up with people, right? That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. If you're consumed in your operation so much, you can never become big. You can never think out of the box and become big. So for that, there should be an RGB dashboard that the founder must be having, which is called R for red, B for blue, and G for green. So he should be having a dashboard and he should be seeing it every day. What are the things that are going in red? That means which are below performance. And it is very critical. Whatever things are going in red is very critical for him. He has to take action on that particular thing on same day or at the same point of time, right? So it could be anything. It could be sales that he is monitoring. It could be people who is monitoring. He's monitoring the efficiency of people. He's monitoring the receivables. He's monitoring the payables, right? All these things which are important for a business. If he's monitoring on an RGB dashboard, then I think a small startup can become big. And this is one of the growth strategies that they can follow. Second is blue, right? Obviously, there are things that are partially controlled. Abhi theek thak hai. They are soon turning out to be red. So he can basically give them the second priority. And third is green, which are fully controlled. That means everything is going good. And he should be obviously very happy to see people or things that he's monitoring on green. Blue is somewhat worrisome, but then red is very critical. They have to take the decision, take the action at the same point of time. So this is also a very important strategy that a startup can use for growth. The third thing could be CGP safety trinity. What I mean by CGP safety trinity is cash, growth, and profit. These are three things that everybody wants, right? Dhandhe mein business chahiye, dhandhe mein growth chahiye, or dhandhe mein profit chahiye. If in a business cash is there and profit is there, but the growth is not there, then it is also bad. Cash and growth is there, but profit is not there, then it is also bad. Growth and profit is there, but the cash flow is very poor, that is also bad, right? It has to be a trinity that has to be there, right? The cash should be good, the growth should be good, the profit should be very good. If you are able to achieve the trinity of these cash, growth, and profit, then I think your business can grow multifold. Fourth is CEO's office in the absence of CEO. So what is the role of a CEO or a founder, right? He's basically the one who's controlling all the departments, the one who is managing all the departments, the one who is executing the orders. So it is important that even if the CEO is not there, there should be a CEO's office, which is basically taking care of all these things. So in a small company, there could be a personal assistant who is basically doing all these things. In a medium company, it could be an executive assistant who is doing all these things. In a large company, a chief of staff can do it, right? So what do these people do, right? They are basically entering into the shoes of the CEO and playing the role of a CEO in the absence of CEO, right? Or these are basically extended arms of a CEO, so that all the things that are there in a company or in a startup are being managed very professionally and managed in a very good manner. So chief of staff, EA, PA, what they can do is they can create Excel sheets, they can create dashboards, they can also liaison with different departments, they can understand the problems of different departments, try and help them solve those problems So this is what I call as CEO's office in the absence of CEO. If you have a PAE or a chief of staff, that can basically help you in doing your work in an efficient manner and obviously help you scale the business that you are in. And the fifth one is productivity tracker. There are multiple productivity trackers, multiple apps, multiple applications, ERPs that you can use for productivity of different people, right? You can track what are your billable hours, time taken for doing a particular activity, whether you are taking much time, lower time, medium time in doing a particular activity. When you are repeating that activity, whether you are taking the lesser time for doing that. So this is how you basically use ERPs and trackers and apps for basically tracking everything. You can do project management through it. You can do time management through it. You can optimize your resources through it. You can automate any kind of repetitive process that are there. You can create a workflow. So this is basically, these are the aspects for tracking your productivity. And this can be done through ERPs. Many apps are there, Trello. Many people use, many ERPs are there, many small apps are there on your phone, which you can use for doing all these things. So if you're able to track your productivity, track these things, I think that nothing can then stop you from becoming a very large business. Fifth thing is main thing versus multiple things. What I mean by main thing is you should focus on something which takes less time and finishes, rather than multiple things that take much time. So let's take an example, right? If you're doing an activity, you're doing a focused action on that activity and you're able to finish this. This is called the main thing. Or you're focusing on multiple things, right? There's something called multitasking, but then that is a myth. Nobody can do multitasking. So it is important to take one important thing which would impact your entire business, which is very, very critical for you. Take that main thing, do a focus action on that and finish. But if you're not focused on main thing, you can do small multiple things which can also take the same amount of time, but then that would never give you the same amount of profit or same amount of growth that you can get from main thing. So it is important to identify the main thing which takes less time and requires a focus action, and you can finish it, rather than focusing on multiple things which takes too much time and finally you're not able to achieve that kind of a growth as well. Finally is the last point is restructuring the business model. It is important that you restructure the business model time and again. If we talk about entities like Ola, Uber, right? They've restructured their business model. Earlier, their business model was something different. Now it is something different. So it is important that you pivot from your business model. It is important that you restructure your business model because, again, if we talk about that CGP trinity, right? The cash was coming fine. The growth was fine, but then there was no profit. So to find that trinity, you have to restructure your business model. You have to restructure your thought process, your models, your business, whether you're getting your immediate cash at your time, you're getting regular cash at your time in your business. Are you getting sustained growth, profit and cash in your business? Is your cash flow increasing or not? So these are the things that you can do so that you can restructure the business model. This will basically help in growth of your startup. So these are the 7 main strategies that a startup can use for the kind of growth that they want to see. Now, it is very important that there are certain special strategies that we can look at when we talk about business, right? There are multiple special strategies that a business can look at in terms of digital marketing and personal branding, right? So, आपने ये 5-6-7 चीजें जो मैंने पहले बताई that can be done, but then these special strategies will basically help you in kind of in the new business scenario. These are very important nowadays, right? And what are these special strategies that a business can do or a business can basically evaluate for becoming a large company? So first of all is for founders, right? So today the founders are really working behind the back. They don't have any kind of a personal brand. So it is important that you create a personal brand. I always give an example, right? If tomorrow I go to a particular market with my iPhone and tell people that you purchase the second-hand phone, why would somebody purchase it from me? Unless they know me. So how do people know you? By creating a personal brand. You create your personal brand on offline channels, online channels, on social media. It is important that you build your personal brand. If your founders are able to build a personal brand for themselves, then that personal brand can have a trickle-down effect on the business or on the startups that they have, right? So it is important that they build their personal brand. That's very important so that they can grow their business as well. The second point is digital. So you have to go digital, right? What I mean by digital is whatever we are doing on an offline way, if you want to track it, if you want to measure it, then you have to go for digital ways, right? So that is why digital marketing is very important. Digital ways of doing things is very important. So if we talk about from a medium to large growth, I think scalability is possible, and you're able to reach multiple customers as well, right? In offline channels, in offline marketing strategy, you're able to reach out to only thousands or lakhs of people. But if you want to reach out to crores of people at one point of time, then digital is the way to go. So it is important that startups concentrate on digital marketing. They concentrate on technology, which would help them measure as well as reach out to a large set of people. Also, it is important that you should not go for being digital until you are able to measure it, right? So the essence of going digital is measurement, and whatever you can measure, obviously you can improve upon. If you can't measure anything, you cannot improve upon that particular point. So the main thing for going for digital is to measure things. If you're not able to measure things, then there's no point going for digital. So today in the world of startups, anyone can have the next potential great idea, but not everyone has what it takes to realize it to bring to the masses. If you want to go to the masses, it is important that there are a few things that a startup should do to become a unicorn, become a successful story in the startup ecosystem. First of all, confirm that there is a market for the idea, right? This might seem very obvious today, but then people don't do this first step, right? They don't confirm whether there is a market for your startup or for your business, right? So owners are trying to build a successful business without first making sure that there would be enough people who would be buying their products or would be buying their services. So it is important that we find out that there is a market for the product that we are making. We should do initial research about what kind of market we want to go to, what kind of people we want to target, right? And second point could be make your value propositions clear. While you have identified the market, it is important that you clarify the value proposition. What kind of value are you bringing onto the table? It is incredibly important to understand what your business offers to the customers. And most importantly, you need to be able to clearly explain to your potential clients what is the value for money that you're giving, right? If you're not able to give a clear value proposition to the customer, I don't think so. The business is scalable. The startup could be large in the coming months or years, right? It would eventually die if you're not able to clear your value proposition. So it is important that we answer the questions very clearly and effectively, and then you are ready to begin the process of pitching to customers, pitching to even investors, or even to the general public. So if you begin building out business without a solidified and tested value proposition, you might have a very hard time in attracting clients. So that's the second point that people can do the startups can do for growing their companies. Third is to target or nail down the target audience. What I mean by nailing down the target audience is once you have certain kind of business value proposition, right, that you've created, right, what you should do is to create to kind of appeal to the potential customers. It is important that you know the exact demographic what you are targeting. You begin to promote your market, your business to the entire public. Knowing exactly who you are pitching to makes the pitching process very, very smooth and decreases the chances also for any kind of errors in the process, right? So it is important that we nail down the target audience. We understand the process. We understand the the importance of the product, the product, what it is serving, all these things, if you understand and you are able to create a very good pitch, that I think you will be able to create a very large business out of your startup. Then the fourth point is knowing your competitors. If you know your competitors, I mean, there would be no company that can say that they are working in a blue ocean and there's no competitor. That's actually a myth, right? Always there would be competitors. You can have a first mover advantage, but then competitors will always be there. So you have to know those competitors, performing a very thorough analysis of your competition and the most successful business companies operating in your space. This is very important for knowing your customers. So oftentimes what people do in competitor analysis is they can reveal that you actually shouldn't be targeting the same exact demographic and guide on the path of truly refining your niche. So today probably you were thinking that this is my target audience, but then when you do the competitor analysis, you get to know that probably your niche is something different. You have to target a different set of people. So this is how you basically do your competitor analysis. And competitor analysis can make your business grow into a very large business. And then after doing this, make sure that you are ready to convert. And what I mean by ready to convert, you should know, you should have a good understanding of who your target audience is, what makes them click to your business, to your product. You should also be pretty confident in what your business offers, as I said, and very fair idea about your competition as well. So now the next step is to make sure you're ready to convert. So the next step is to make sure your website, your store, or your business is ready to convert visitors into customers. It is also important that you are always present on a digital. There's a digital way of presenting things, digital way of making people know that you have arrived in the marketplace. And once you are able to do that, I think with all these points, right, that we've talked about, making sure that you're ready to convert, you're getting to know your competition, kind of crystallining your pitch, all these things would definitely help you in growing a small company into a very large company. Now, let's talk about role of chartered accountants, right? Chartered accountants, as we know, right, in an MSME and startup growth, the chartered accountants play a very, very important role. Obviously, chartered accountants understand accounts, auditing, taxation. They can definitely help in these avenues, right? But then there are multiple ways, multiple, I would say, multiple things that a chartered accountant can do to become a growth partner in MSMEs and startups. So first of all, they can give a tax advisory, right? We are chartered accountants. We understand tax advisory. We understand how we can create that kind of a model or create that kind of a entity which would help a founder in getting most benefit out of that particular entity, right? So tax advisory is a very important aspect from a VAT, from a GST, and all those aspects. If we are able to give a great advisory to these small companies, I think we can become a growth partner in the growth of these startups. Second is the project financing, right? Now, since I talked about financing, right, there are multiple CAs that are which are basically doing this, and there are new CAs also that are coming into the project financing vertical as well, right? So if you're concerned with the assessment of the project, what kind of capital would be required, that basically a project financing can be done by a CA, which would help a startup to understand what is the requirement of capital and how they can get that capital from either from VCs or from banks or wherever, from through doing collaborative approach. This is how a CA can basically help in kind of improving the financial fitness of a company, of a startup. Third is obviously the auditing services. Auditing services, obviously we understand what audit is. And see, today, what I think is auditing is not all about finding out faults, right? Auditing is also about giving that kind of advisory that this is something that is wrong in your business. This is something that is wrong in the structure of your business. This is something that is wrong in the compliance of your business. And this is how you can solve it, right? We have to also become advisors. It is not about only fault finding, but also become advisors to these startups so that they should not just think of chartered accountants as somebody who's just giving tax information or tax advisory or does audit, right? these are certain old formats that we've been following. But then now it is important that if we want to become the growth partners of startups, it is important that we start advising them into different avenues, whether it is in tax, whether it is into project finance, whether it is into auditing, management assurance, which is your statutory audit. This is very important that we start giving them the right kind of mentorship, the right kind of I would say the right kind of evaluation of the product and right kind of advisory that we can give to them. And I think since startups are into technology, it is important for chartered accountants also to understand technology. Now, gone are those days that we can say that we have a paper, we create a balance sheet and then sign it, right? Those days are gone. It is important to understand technology because everybody is doing business on to technology, right? If I tomorrow get appointed as a statutory auditor of Coin DCX or Coin Switch Kuber, these are basically tech-enabled companies, right? These their entire business is backed by technology, and if we don't understand that technology, then we won't be able to give them the right kind of advice, the right kind of service that they have basically hired us for. So it is important for chartered accountants to have an in-depth understanding of the business, in-depth understanding of the business models, and in-depth understanding of the technology. Only then we will be able to provide our services in a better manner. And finally, I think while I'm not sure how many CAs are actually comfortable in providing advisory related to product, advisory related to sales, digital marketing, all these things are new avenues that are coming up. I basically today I'm a product and sales strategist, and I provide a strategic thought process to multiple startups, mentor multiple startups into their sales strategy, their go-to-market strategy, their marketing, digital marketing, management consulting. So these are the new avenues that even a CA can look at, so that they can become very important partners for these startups, right? So if we want our MSMEs and startups to grow, it is important that chartered accountants should take a step forward from the traditional practice that they are doing. They should start doing project financing. They should start become mentors of these startups, give different knowledge in terms of technology, in terms of various areas like product sales, digital marketing, and different other services. So this is how even chartered accountants can help MSMEs and startups in their growth. So this is all I had today to talk about startups, MSMEs, CAs, role of CAs, and how we can basically grow a startup into a large company. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Dr. Sambit, do we have any questions? Sir, do we have any questions? If not, then we can wrap up the session. Fine. I think we don't have any questions. But then the final point that I want to make is today we are talking about startups which have become unicorns, which are having $1 billion of valuations. There are multiple unicorns that are there. So if we want our country to grow, startup is the way forward. It is important that we understand the power of startups. It is important that we give the startups the right kind of mentorship. And once that is given, I think we can definitely become a very big economy. We are kind of targeting $5 trillion economy in 2000, whenever it is being targeted. But then to achieve that kind of growth, we'll have to take care of startups. If you you don't take care of our MSMEs, which are, I think 6.5 crores MSMEs are registered in India as per the MSME department. And there are somewhere around 6.5 crores MSMEs which are not registered. So today there are somewhere around 13 crores MSMEs that are there in the country. So if we don't take care of these 13 crore entities, I think we'll not be able to do full justification to the country. So if we want to do full justification, we'll have to take care of these startups, these MSMEs, and then I think we can definitely become a $5 trillion economy. I think we have a question here. Which the question is how to approach clients regarding advice on startups. Sir, so I think there are multiple ways wherein you can basically reach out to startup incubators. You can reach out to different places. I am also a mentor of for startups by the on the Untitled Innovation Mission, right? So you can register yourself on the Untitled Innovation Mission. You can register yourself on the new website that is coming up by ICAI's MSME and Startup Committee. You can register yourself as a mentor. So this is how you can basically approach clients. And if you're talking about the strategy to approach clients, I think it is important to tell them that you are very good and you are very, I would say, a kind of an expert in the particular field. I'm an expert in sales and strategy. You might be an expert in project financing. The third CA might be an expert in auditing services, right? So it is important to reach out to the right set of people at the right place and at the right time. So you have to basically show your thought leadership before you reach out to clients. The next point is you have mentioned that before you go for digital marketing, etc., you should be able to measure things. So, sir, I said if you want to do any kind of digital outreach, it is important that you are able to measure things, right? So without measuring, it is not even prudent to go anything related to digital. So if you want to go anything related to digital, it is important that you have that kind of metrics in place that you can measure and also take corrective actions on those red flags. So if you're not able to do any kind of corrective actions, you're not able to measure, then there's no point going for digital. Either you go for digital marketing or anything. It is important, and that I've spoken in the cases of startups. I'm not talking about any kind of digital marketing for CA. I'm talking about startups, how they can do digital marketing. It's important that they start understanding digital space, they start measuring things, and only then it makes sense for them to do digital marketing. Right. So next question is from Vinod, which says for any startup for financing, can we register and do other things on SSO ID of our client? That I think I'm not the right person to answer. I don't really have an idea about that. But then you can definitely reach out to ICAI. They would be definitely more than happy and willing to help you on how you can basically register and do other things for financing of startups. So as of now, I don't know the answer of this question, but definitely you can reach out to ICAI. They will be more than happy to help you. Next question is from Rohit. Sir, currently inflation is on rise. Do we see it as a threat for people to invest on startup? Sir, I think inflation is fine. Inflation is something that everybody is dealing with, right? Everybody knows that there's a lot more inflation, but then just inflation is not leading to it's not really a threat. I would in fact call an inflation is something that would actually be helping startups. Today, people have multiple, see, if you go to an investor or a VC, what they ask is, पिछले महीने कितने करोड़ का सेल्स था 100 करोड़ का, इस महीने कितने करोड़ का सेल्स है 250 करोड़ का, उसके अगले महीने कितने का प्रोजेक्टेड है 500 करोड़ का. So they definitely don't kind of consider inflation as an aspect. आज जो चीज आप 100 करोड़ में बेच रहे हो, due to inflation वो ऐसे भी आप 150 करोड़ में बेच सकते हैं, right? So inflation is actually good for startups, frankly. But then not just talking about funded startups, I'm also talking about normal other bootstrap startups. Yes, inflation is on the rise, problems are there, but then the money is also there. So money is flowing there in the market. If you have the right strategy, right people, right team, and the right product, I think you can definitely grow your startup. I think the last question is from Yogesh. At which stage of startup the angel investor should be invited? So it could be on any stage, right? Angel investors are somebody who are, as the name suggests, they are angels. They basically invest when nobody is willing to invest in your company. Angel investors are basically when you have an MVP with you, you are able to prove your product, you're able to prove the business model, you're able to prove the unit economics. Then you can definitely invite angel investors to do a pre-series round so that your idea is validated. And once your idea is validated, you get some sales numbers. You can go for series A, B, C to the venture capitalists. So this is how I think the startup funding can be done, and this is how angel investors can be invited. Any further questions? I'll be more than happy, because this is one such topic that I like from the bottom of my heart. So I'll be more than happy to answer any kind of questions that you have. Somebody saying excellent presentation. I want to add that in advisory role, it is very important to guide the startup in the administrative front. The importance of HR and finance role too, as these will be the backbone of any organization. Completely agree, sir. Completely agree. Finance also is so important. If you don't have finance and HR, these are the most important aspects that are there in any company. मैं तो startups की बात ही नहीं कर रहा. किसी भी company में HR and administrative processes like finance, etc. These are very important, sir. I completely agree with you. I completely understand where you're coming from, and it is important that people understand the importance of these auxiliary departments as well. लोग sales और product और marketing को बहुत ज़्यादा पे focus करते हैं, but then these auxiliary departments are also very important. So completely agree with you, sir. Next point is from Tarun. Question is from Tarun. He says, if a product is ready, sales strategy almost established for B2B segment, products accepted by machinery manufacturers for end users, then how could we approach for funding? Cash could be good, profit is also good, but growth will be limited. So, sir, if you are talking about a CGP trinity that I was talking about, right? So, sir, I think if the product is ready, the sales strategy is ready, and the product is accepted by the people, then I think it is a circle, right? अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट अच्छा है, अगर आपका स्ट्रैटेजी ठीक है, अगर आपको बेसिक्स ऑफ अकाउंट फाइनेंस टैक्सेशन आते हैं, तो I think this can be done, right? Your profit will definitely be good, your cash flow would be good, your growth will definitely be good. I don't think that it would be limited. It would be very, very good. But then, sir, the market in which you are, it should not be saturated. अगर आप सैचुरेटेड मार्केट में हैं, आपका सेल्स स्ट्रेटेजी बहुत अच्छा है, आपका प्रोडक्ट बहुत अच्छा है, then it would also not work. So the market in which you are, it should also be very good. It should be also very growing. It should be very tech enabled. So market is also very important. The kind of people that you are reaching out to, that should also be very important. So if you are into the right market, if you are into the right business, if you are having the right strategies, I think that CGP trinity can be established. You can have good cash flows, you can have good growth, and you can have excellent profits. So next is from Atul. How a software company can avail the benefits of startup? Sir, there is a Startup India website that is there. You can definitely register yourself as a startup. And there are multiple benefits that are available to a startup if you are, and definitely a software company is more than welcome by Startup India to register into their portal. So Startup India, go to that portal, register yourself, and you can obtain multiple benefits. Next question is from Niranjan Ji, which is who is saying that, is there any committee or group where angel investors, CPE are members? So there are multiple groups which are where these VCs and PEs and angel investors are members. There are multiple accelerators that are around the country. GSF accelerator is one accelerator with which I'm working with. There are multiple accelerators. So these accelerators are part of, these are basically groups which basically help you in connecting to these angel investors, VCs, PEs. And so yeah, you can just reach out to these accelerators. They would take probably 1%, 2% of your equity and then help you in all these things, in creating an MVP, in creating your strategies, in introducing you to these investors. So I hope I've answered all the questions. If there's any question, please feel free to shoot. Okay, so I've got heads up that there are no more questions. So I thank everyone for patient listening, understanding what I had to say. I'm sure I would have fumbled somewhere. I would have not given you the right answers probably somewhere. And probably I would have not answered all your questions as well. But then it was my just a kind of a humble beginning from giving you some kind of gyan that I've got in last 11 years of my experience in startups. So I thank everyone. Thank the ICI committee for MSME and startups for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.